Mortgage rates have stayed high in the past few weeks, and buyers in the real estate market are starting to take notice. In fact, we're seeing some of the affordability changes in the data. A little bit slowing of sales, which is creating some higher inventory. And of course, we started out the year with a surprisingly resilient real estate market, and it feels like now that prices are staying high and rates look like they're going to stick around for a little while, it's starting to settle into its own, and we're starting to get a glimpse of what this real estate market might look like. And of course, today we're going to go over, is this normal market trends that we're seeing, or is this something different altogether? My name is Jeremy Williams with the Bannack Real Estate Group, and every month we strive to bring you hyper-local information so you can make decisions that are best for you. Now, it's important that we're taking in real information, not looking at clickbaits or some of the things that we're going to see in your traditional channels that might be telling a different story. So today we're going to go through what can we expect as we head into fall. With that, let's get started. This month I decided to share some of our graphs with you so you can get a better idea of the data that I look at and how we interpret it. It may give you a little bit more perspective. So I made some simple graphs based on that data so you can see what we're talking about and most importantly what the trends are. So let's start by going through some of the data that we usually go through on this channel, and then we'll talk about what kind of trends are we seeing moving forward. So first I want to start out with, if you look at the median sales price this year is just over $700,000. That is a skewed number, and the reason that's a skewed number is if you look at this information over here, over 50 homes have sold for over $1 million so far this year. Previous to 2019, if there's say 1 to 5 homes that sold, it would have been a big year. So that's a significant change. That's artificially changing, skewing up that average sale price, because if you look at the medium sold price, that middle number, meaning half sell above and half sell below, that's still down at $542,000. Now it is important to look at down here is at $542,000, that's still 4% higher than it was last year, and the average is still 6%. So we're still seeing 4 to 6% appreciation in our marketplace, and it's going to be interesting to see if that might change as we head into these fall months here. So if you look at our graph on the right hand side here, the darker the green, the stronger seller market, and the darker the red, the stronger the buyer's market. And we've been watching a trend for the last couple of months that these upper prices have been more of a buyer's market, and it's kind of working its way down. Now, because there was some markets that only had a couple sales last month, like 1, 2, 3 in certain price ranges, we do see it sometimes. It can skew one way or the other fairly quick, but we're looking at this over the trend of the year to get a better insight of what we can expect. So if you've been watching the channel, we started talking about a couple months ago how the 900 is slowing down, the 800s is slowing down, and now, like last month at 650, it tended to be a particularly slow month for that price range, 650 to 700, although we do see a lot of homes under contract in that market. Last month there just wasn't very many sales, so it became more of a little bit of a buyer's market. We're watching those trends. The prediction is if rates stay high, over time it's going to put downward pressure on the prices because it affects affordability. So if the rates stay high for long enough, eventually we're going to see some adjustments in prices. So that is something that we're absolutely watching moving forward. A big part of that is going to be the inventory that's available. So let's look at what inventory looks like. We track inventory by looking at absorption rate. Absorption rate is basically if no other houses come on the market, how many months will it take to sell out all the inventory based on what's selling per month. So we look at 6 months as being in a normal market. If you're over 6 months, it's a buyer's market. If you're under 6 months, it's a seller's market. And of course, the further away you are from that 6 months, the more extreme the market is. So you can see this year in February, we're at 3.2 months of market. Of inventory, that was the high, and then we went down to 1.6 months of inventory, still extreme seller's market. And because we're starting to see sales slow down just a little bit, some of the inventory is staying on the market a little bit longer, and now we're up to 2 months, just 2.5 months, which is still a very strong seller's market. But what that means is if you're looking to buy a house, you're going to have a few more options, or you might have some negotiating power than we've had the last couple of months. So that's something we're certainly going to watch as we head into the fall here, is what are the opportunities? And one of them might be more options than we've had in the past, but also sellers that way might be a little bit more negotiable. And then last, we're going to look through here, and I like to list the sales price as an indicator of where the market's going. And for like the 4th or 5th month in a row, we've had 100% list the sales price, meaning basically sellers are getting the price they're asking for. Now, there's sometimes they're doing price reductions to get that price, but sellers are pricing their house much more accurately than we've seen in the past. So let's look at these numbers that indicate trends moving forward. Before we look at where the market's going, let's look at where it's been. So this is a simple graph that shows us monthly sales by year for the last couple of years. We start with 2017 and work our way to 2022. So let's just look at the last 3 years. I mean, well, you can see 2020 was one of the highest sales years where we continually had monthly sales over 150 homes per month, and that continued to be really strong into the winter time. And then, of course, 2022, we had a strong start, and then as rates began to change around May, June, and July, we started seeing sales adjust to the market conditions. Now, when we got to December of last year, I thought that was going to continue on into the first quarter of this year, but what we saw was a small dip, and then we saw strong, resilient buyers come into the marketplace and continue to purchase homes. So we saw a strong rebound there, and now we're starting to steady out a little bit. If you look at every year for the last couple of years, you can see a bell curve, and this is going to be consistent when we look at all the data from sold, pending, and actives. But traditionally we hit probably around June, July, August as the high for the sales, and I would expect to see this number just follow the same pace as we saw last year and slowly tick down. The only thing that would influence that is if there was a huge push of sale or huge push of inventory or large price reductions or a huge increase of rates. But if the market conditions stay the way they are, I expect a normal bell trend and for that to continue down here into December, probably even out somewhere where we did last year this time. When we look at the number of homes that are under contract at any given month, again, it follows that same bell trend that we've been talking about, but there are some weird anomalies that we're seeing in the data, and I think it can be explained by the amount of time it takes from somebody to get under contract to closing. And I'll give you an idea of what I mean by that. If we go back to 2021, you can see the number of under contracts that we've had. It kind of follows relatively close to the same type of bell trend that we've been talking about. And if you go to 2022, you can see there's a lot less homes under contract. But when you go to 2023, we're actually trending higher than 2021 and 2022. And I think the reason for that is we're seeing a lot more under contracts because of the low inventory. More people are getting into, new construction. And that new construction is going to show under contract for more months. So instead of closing the same month or within a 45-day period, that might be showing in this data for up to 6 months or even a year. And also in 2021, 2022, it was competitive, and we'd see people closing in sometimes weeks or a month, let alone 2 months or more. So what was happening in those months is we're just seeing more houses on and off the market quicker, where right now we're seeing some of that under contract staying on the market longer, which kind of gives a false look where it shows that there's more pending than really there are. And we do look at the new pendings per month as an indication of what's a true, accurate glimpse of what's going on today compared to a house that might have sold, say, 6 months ago, and it's going to take another 6 months to be finished and closed out. The number of homes coming to the market is going to play an integral part of where our market's going. Basically, supply and demand. How many homes are there versus how many buyers? And of course, as inventory starts increasing, are these houses being absorbed? We talked about earlier this year, we were in an inventory constrained market, meaning as more houses came on the market, we saw more sales. Now we're starting to see that, but we are starting to see some just normal trends as we head into more of a fall market of a little bit of a slowdown. But let's look at where we're at compared to where we've been. If you look at 2018, for instance, we were at the high 400s for amount of homes for sale at any given month. Put that in perspective, why this is different than, say, 2008, 9, 10. In 2012, there was over 1,400 homes for sale at any given time. That's significantly different than where we're at right now. You can see at the lowest, we were down under 100 homes for sale at any given time, and right now we've kind of gone up to 238 homes. As far as the size of the market, that's still considered very, very low inventory. So what would change this moving forward? Well, I look at new construction as a way to help loosen up inventory. We really should have a couple hundred more homes on the market at any given time to help you sell a house at a great price and then find an acceptable replacement at a good price. But where are those homes going to come from? New construction is one of them. However, lenders have really cracked down on new construction loans, and the local government has really slowed down progress when trying to bring new developments to the marketplace. So I don't see them coming up in any significant numbers to help add that inventory to the marketplace. So then we look at people that are buying homes. Traditionally, they're selling a home, buying another one. Well, we've been seeing this huge trend where people are keeping the house that they had and still buying another house. So those homes that are traditionally coming on the market, we really haven't seen. And then I don't see a foreclosure market when inventory is this low, a foreclosure market of any kind coming anytime soon. So the top of that, we sometimes would see a sellers sell their house every 5 to 6 years or so in the past. I feel because of the low interest rates that they're locked into, we might start seeing 15, even 20 years people stay in their houses, or at least keep in their houses before they sell them. So that's really going to restrain our inventory moving forward, and it should help, keep prices in check from any major changes as we head into the fall and into next year. So let's do a quick overview of where we're at. If you look at this graph, you see the active listings throughout the year. There was a huge push here in August into September of a lot of new homes coming on the market. A lot of times they're trying to beat the market before fall really hits. I would expect to see that drop off here and even come down, maybe even under 150 homes by the time we get to December. The reason being is a lot of times people will push to sell their home now, but when we get into November and December, a lot of times they'll take their house off the market and wait until spring. So look for that inventory to decrease over time. And because the inventory is decreasing, you'll also see this line here. This is the number of under contracts. It traditionally decreases as we head into December as well. The orange and the blue line here, this is our new pendings and our sold. So they're pretty much in line with each other. I do expect we're at 80 to 90 homes per month right now. I do expect that to gradually decline. Follow last year where I expect that to get down to even the 50s and the 60s by the end of the year. So normal bell curve, but we're starting that curve at a little bit lower spot than we've seen in the last couple of years. So what does that mean? If you're a buyer, there's going to be some great opportunities to purchase a home between September and October. It's probably going to be your best chance for the number of options, and then working with sellers that might consider price reductions, might have a little bit more of availability to negotiate with you to make sure that we get to a win-win situation. If you're a seller, we want to pay attention to what's going on in the marketplace. If inventory does decrease as much as we think it is, traditionally a lot of people take their homes off the market. I suggest putting your home on the market because the buyers that are in the marketplace, they're going to be aggressive and they're going to be motivated, and you're not going to have as much competition. When you get to springtime, it's hard to know, but it stands to reason there's going to be a lot of homes coming to the marketplace, and you have a lot more competition for those buyers. So if you're a buyer, look for the next 2 months as being the best time to purchase a house and have a little bit of flexibility in your negotiation. And if you're a seller, also look at that same time period. While everybody else is doing one thing, maybe you should be considering the other. For more information on how these numbers might affect you and your buying or selling decisions, please reach out to us. We give free consultations all the time to get a better perspective of what the overall goal is. Even if you're looking a couple years in the future, there might be things now you should be paying attention to so you're not surprised or look back later on and say, hey, I wish we at least looked into it. We also have services where we help put the whole picture together. What is your home worth? What would it sell for? Where would you go next? How soon would you want to be there? And take a step-by-step systematic approach to see if now's the right time to do that, or should you be waiting? And what are the pros and cons of potentially waiting? So reach out to us. You can reach me on my personal cell phone. The number is 406-531-1519, and we look forward to talking to you soon.